Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto News with an informational update that nobody would be able to refuse. Yes guys, today I want to talk a little bit about the Ripple v SEC lawsuit as we have another update on that. I want to talk briefly about the Bitcoin price as I really see a couple of interesting things I need to share with you all, while also updating you a little bit more about the current situation in the stock market and whatnot, just the general situation. Moving over into JPMorgan's clients and what basically JPMorgan's analysts and whatnot are thinking about the Bitcoin price. I think that's also a very interesting concept because we've seen such a huge amount of different ideas over the last couple of weeks specifically. Want to then move over into a Polygon, a very important upgrade that's basically around the corner. A massive news outlet has shared that billionaire investor Bill Miller put about 50% of his net worth into Bitcoin. What exactly that means, what exactly the thoughts were, everything about that will be posted here. Joe Rogan apparently being very bullish on Bitcoin. PayPal planning to launch its own digital US dollar. I'm going to talk about that. I think it's a really interesting concept, even though we've talked about it briefly before. Well, heading over into a Bitcoin discount. Well, it's actually a little bit of a funny article, but I think it's also something fun. It's relatable to the Bitcoin news and price at the start. Still think it's worth a mention, though. Before moving over into Chainlink's exponential growth and some major sports conglomerates, or whatever you want to call them, getting into NFTs and also bullish news for Chainlink. Having said that, I have a question for today, which is, guys, if you could pick one crypto right now, and if you looked at them, you'd think, wow, that coin is extremely undervalued, which one would it be and why? Let me know in the comments section down below. All right, heading over into our first piece of news for today is the Ripple v SEC lawsuit. James Fillon shared a couple of hours ago, SEC v Ripple has filed its response to the SEC's notice of supplemental authority regarding the SEC's motion to strike the fair notice defense. So all you need to know about this, guys, is basically Ripple has now responded to the SEC quoting a specific new lawsuit that they use some authority from, basically meaning the SEC is trying to kind of guide the judge to understand that whatever defense Ripple has shouldn't really be there anymore. It should just be striked out. There was another case which also talked about this specific defense in a different sort of environment altogether, though. And they are trying to claim, hey, because the defense was thrown out here, we should also have it thrown out in our own specific case. Ripple now responded, basically accusing them of trying something which they shouldn't have done. 5 does not support the SEC's motion to strike Ripple's affirmative defense that it lacked adequate notice that XRP was an investment contract. The court in 5, which is again is that specific little case, determined only that it would not, at the pleading stage, dismiss the SEC's adequately pleaded complaint on the basis of the defendant's due process challenge. The question before this court arises in a completely different procedural posture, whether Ripple's answer plausibly sets forth a completely different procedural, cognizable legal theory for its affirmative defense, such that it should be permitted to develop evidence and present the defense on a more complete record. That is clearly the case here. Ripple's fair notice defense is firmly rooted in binding Second Circuit precedent. Unlike in 5, Ripple is not relying on its fair notice defense to preclude the SEC from taking discovery and proceeding to merits adjudication. Indeed, factual discovery is now complete. Ripple is simply asking that it not be precluded from presenting its legally cognizable defense on full record. The law in this circuit is clear that an affirmative defense to a claim may only be struck where there's no question of law which might allow the defense to succeed. And obviously, guys, after everything we've read here, there's very clearly a chance that whatever Ripple's trying to defend here can work. And so from that perspective, whatever authority the SEC likes to put on here, it's going to be rather difficult for them to really convince the judge there's absolutely no chance that they have any legal ground to stand on in regards to keeping this defense. So that's a very nice response from Ripple. Very glad to see it, even though we did expect Ripple to respond in this manner already. It's just a nice little start to a way longer lasting battle, as you guys know. I guess I shouldn't say a start. I should just say a little advancement towards the right direction. Having said that, in regards to the Bitcoin price and XRP price for that matter, a couple of things to say. First of all, guys, what a crazy price action we saw today, huh? It's been a crazy, crazy day. And I must admit, I didn't really expect it to dip this far. Then again, when we did dip, I did expect these targets. There's a couple of different reasons. So I actually have a heat map in front of me right now. That's actually because I don't show this too often, but I do use it quite often. Just wanted to share with you guys the link so you might be able to use it for yourself if you're ever interested. Something I check out quite often, but again, I did not share too often on my channel. I want to actually more so talk about the S&P in the sense that we actually had a really bullish reversal on the S&P. Not actually a reversal pattern. I guess in a certain sense you might call this a bullish engulfing candle right there, but I wouldn't necessarily call this the best of reversal in terms of how it looks. And then again, we did kind of go on the same route as we went a couple of weeks ago, as I actually was kind of joking about in my video earlier today. I told that we kind of had a similar type of dump as we saw a couple of weeks ago. What if you had the same type of pump? Right now it's kind of looking similar if you honestly ask me, in the sense that we had such a big gap between close and open. I think it's close and open, right? Yeah, close and open. And in this case here, we had the exact same scenario and kind of was, yeah, it looks kind of similar to me. Then again, right now, the S&P, I think, was actually falling due to a couple of different things. One of them being variant discussions. Second, of course, being the Fed with the interest rate hikes and whatnot. We talked about this in our previous video. And generally speaking, the Bitcoin price falls because of that as well. I also told you guys, and we talked about this before, there's two crucial supports here, colliding, whatever you want to call it. And the moment we broke through both of these, the Bitcoin price went as low as our next most important area. Again, remember, we talked about 40.5 thousand bucks, right? Which is basically right now coming closer and closer to a crucial point, which would have been, I guess, potentially a little bit lower, potentially more around here. It just depends on what exactly the area is. I don't remember the exact price I'm going to say anymore, like what the exact dollar is. It could be 40.6, 40.5 thousand. It's basically the Bitcoin level over on the daily and Bitcoin over on the weekly, and both respectively have these prices. Let's quickly check it out. On the daily, this is weekly, guys. On the weekly, our lowest point here that we were watching for was $39.6 thousand. All right, so keep that in mind. $39.6 thousand, $650 to be exact. On the daily, our lowest point that we were watching out for was, let's check it out again. It was, let's quickly check this out. Just going to zoom in here a little bit. Again, check out the top, the lowest point. You can see it right there. So it's in this case here, 39.6, and we have about 40.7, 40.6. It's basically around this opening. You should look at the opening here in this regard. Close. So the close here is about 40.7 thousand, which is basically the lowest point right here that we've drawn a little line for. And those were the two that we were basically facing some battles at. And right now we basically had our support at 40.6, 40.7, around that area, right? And we, I guess, dipped towards that level a little bit earlier already, came right back up. Right now, for the second time we retested, or I guess I should say third time, and this time we fell below, and we came right back to our weekly support, basically, at that 39.5, 39.7-ish $1,000 area, which was rather interesting to me because it was such a heavy move and it was such a big pump and dump. The entire crypto market was just shook because of it. Then again, I must admit again that the XRP price is really not in that bad of a spot. And I must remind everybody, I think XRP is, for a lot of these times, a way better investment, not financial advice, in the sense that we have this lawsuit lingering and going on, which just makes it so that people can actually just buy in, not really caring about what the market is going to do, because bull or bear run, XP will most likely do really well if they actually pull through and win the lawsuit. So, yeah. Once more, guys, put in the comments down below what coin you think is undervalued. Not sure if I explained it properly enough at the start. Make sure you put it down below. It's always a little fun thing. Having said that, let's move on here. So we talked briefly about JPMorgan already at the start here, but let me reiterate. JPMorgan's analysts are really all over the place. They have a lot of them as well. It's not really something you can basically say you trust in, right? But apparently here, a majority of JPMorgan's clients see Bitcoin at 60,000 bucks by the year end, with just 5% expecting a cryptocurrency to hit 100,000. So I'm not really sure whether or not we should see this as bullish or bearish, good or bad, as JPMorgan clients do not really represent anything in our own little spectrum of things. I mean, what can we do with this information? Except for saying that some people that invest and specifically are working with an investment bank or clients of an investment bank have specific targets for crypto. In reality, you can have a target, but it doesn't have to be spot on or even close to the end result. And for the most part, if you're working with an investment bank like this, I don't think you're the highest authority for crypto price predictions. If we're talking about some JPMorgan analyst, I've told you guys before, right? Those guys haven't really done the best of the jobs. As we can see here, JPMorgan in November 2021 said Bitcoin could surge to $146,000 in the long run if its volatility subsides and institutions start preferring it to gold. But not exactly sure what we can do with this information. They've let go of so many different statements out there. Same thing for Goldman Sachs. I'm not sure if they're trying to push a narrative or if it's just for fun, but you should basically see this as, hey, they said something. Let's move on. That's exactly what we're doing right now. We're moving on. What is more interesting, though, and I think you guys will all agree with me on that one, is Polygon / MATIC news. So one of the reasons why this is so exciting is because Polygon is by far one of the most popular cryptocurrencies in the space right now, and obviously, rightfully so, right? But the fact they're upgrading every single time after their, I guess, recent spree of innovations already, it's just good. So Polygon Hermez is developing ZK EVM and plans to launch the mainnet in Q2 of 2022. Let's quickly read through this. Polygon Hermez is going to see its mainnet version rolled out as soon as Q2 of 2022. Its first mainnet version will only be suitable for value transfer and will not be EVM compatible, though. 100% EVM compatibility will be added to Polygon's Hermez in version 2. Now, John Lilac stresses the importance of the upcoming release for Ethereum scaling ecosystem with a quote, "The race to scale Ethereum going up a notch, 0x Polygon, MATIC." So no more exorbitant fees then? Well, what happened recently, guys, is that Polygon actually had a crazy fee spike. This story reads, Polygon Hermez is an open source ZK rollup and advanced scalability instrument for Ethereum and Ethereum-like networks. It was acquired by Polygon in 2021. We covered that before. As covered by you today previously, for the first time in history, the Polygon MATIC network suffered from a rapid transaction fee spike. They are quoting them here. Polygon fees skyrocketed to an increased activity of sunflower farmers, a play-to-earn ecosystem based on Polygon. With Hermez launching in Mainnet, or its Mainnet, I guess, Polygon's fee mechanisms will be more resource efficient, and so this could be a major upgrade or innovation for them, and I'm really excited to see this pull through. Alright, moving on. As we said at the start of the video, guys, I am really excited about this, but apparently one of the billionaire investors has put 50% of his net worth into Bitcoin. Investor Bill Miller is betting big on Bitcoin, allocating 50% of his personal net worth to Bitcoin and related equity. What? Absolutely, what is this, right? Well, apparently, he's bullish on Bitcoin, despite the cryptocurrency touching multi-month lows below 40K in early January 2022. Miller no longer considers himself just a Bitcoin observer, but rather a real Bitcoin bull, as he said in a Wealth Track interview last Friday. The billionaire investor now holds 50% of his net worth in Bitcoin and related investments in major industry firms like Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy and Bitcoin mining firm Stronghold Digital Mining. An early Amazon investor, Miller owns almost 100% of the rest of his portfolio in Amazon, he noted. Miller bought his first Bitcoin back in 2014 when Bitcoin was trading at just around $200, and then purchased a little more over time when it became $500. The investor did not buy it for 4 years or whatever until it plummeted to $30,000 after hitting around $66,000 in April of 2021. Never mind, that's actually a little bit longer than that, even 7 years-ish. This time I started buying it again at $30,000, down from $66,000, and the reasoning was there's a lot more people using it. There's a lot more money coming in from the venture capital world, and Miller stated, adding that he bought a fair amount in the $30,000 range. And we don't know how much that is, but I guess it's rather interesting, right? 50% of your money in all of this. For us, it's not really too crazy of a thing. I know more people that have 50% of the money in crypto than they don't. But for billionaires that have gotten rich without crypto, basically, or partially with it, it's a really cool move from him. So I guess he's our cool guy of the week. While pouring in as much as 50% in Bitcoin-related markets, Miller recommended individual investors to put at least 1% of the holdings in. And from a risk perspective, guys, I think a 1%, 2% investment or allocation is actually really safe / really stable. But then again, you got to remember, for guys like, for example, Jeff Bezos, a 1 to 2% injection is actually a really big deal, if you guys get our drift. Not necessarily for his capital or anything like that. It is mostly from the perspective that he then is putting in billions upon billions of dollars, where for the most of us, Putting in 1% is really not going to change the world too much. But for a lot of those guys, it's a way bigger choice to make, putting in such a huge amount of money. Because, of course, you might say, oh, but they have hundreds of billions of dollars. Whether they care. They worked hard for that. Let's put it one thing first. But also, it's not as easy to just see your money go down. And specifically, if you've already done so well, I don't think you feel the necessity to put your money into something which you don't have any control over, right? And even though they know they might create a small little pump if they actually go in, I don't think for a lot of these guys it's actually worth losing their money over or losing any sleep over if what they're doing has worked for a long time and will most likely work for a very long time. It's just from the perspective of, do you really think that Bitcoin would do better than Amazon stock, for example, for a guy like Bezos? Well, maybe he just doesn't think so. And maybe even if it does, it's just not worth all the additional risk or volatility that comes with it, or the accounting or the accountability. There's so many different reasons why I would understand that you won't do this. And then again, I do think crypto is the future. And for us, it's a very good opportunity. But for a lot of these guys, it's just not necessary. So for Billionaire to do this, I think it's a very, very cool move. Joe Rogan, I just saw this article. Joe Rogan says he's got a lot of hope for Bitcoin. Now, it's actually a little podcast. He talked with Adam Curry. And he basically said there's a lot of hope for it, and he was pretty excited about it, even though he doesn't understand it too well. It's either going to fall apart completely, or we're going to use this as an opportunity to come up with a better way to live our lives. And one of the fun things about all of this, guys, is that there's quite a lot of people who come on his podcast or come around the area, and they're excited about crypto. And I guess he embraces it all, and he listens a lot. Remember, if you've done 1,700 podcasts, you've listened to so many different people. And generally speaking, that means he's got a lot of knowledge in that head of his, or at least a lot of different perspectives from things. And so he knows quite a lot about our financial system. And he also must understand the potential in Bitcoin and the appeal for a lot of people to get into it or go over it as not necessarily a replacement of the US dollar, but as a replacement for our current financial system in a certain way. Now, again, you got to also remember Joe Rogan is not saying, hey, let's go for Bitcoin all the way. It's the next new thing. He's just being conscious, wait a minute, is that the right way to say it? Conscious observer? Let's just put it like this. He's looking at it properly with an eye, which I would recommend most people to do it, which is check it out for yourself, understand the way out between good and bad, and then put your money where you think it's best suited. From my own perspective, from my own risk profile, putting a lot of money into crypto is worth it. It seems like a smart idea. For some people, it doesn't. I think Joe is going to, piece by piece, like a lot of other very high net worth individuals and billionaires and whatnot, going to transfer more and more money into it as they learn more about it, understand more about it, and get more exposed to it. Because generally speaking, how these guys learn about it is not because of their own research, it's because somebody tells them to get into it or look into it or buy into it. That's not the best way to get introduced. The best way to get introduced, if you ask me, is for somebody to get some crypto, and then they start noticing, hey, it's pretty easy, it's pretty cool. What does this do? What does that do? They get more curious themselves because of this. Not because somebody tells you how amazing it is, because I think it destroys a little part of the appeal. But again, that's just my thoughts, right? It's not objective. Having said that, a lot of people in the XRP community are hoping that John Deaton, or at least one of the representatives that talks about the XP lawsuit a lot, can get on that podcast. And I do think that would be an amazing thing. So if you actually want to participate in helping that go viral, not exactly sure where to go, but just know that on Twitter, there's a little campaign going on for that, which would be amazing. Moving on into PayPal's news. We also touched upon this previously a little bit over at the start of the video. And by the way, guys, if you are enjoying these daily crypto news videos, make sure you press that like button. Try my best to make these videos the highest quality. I'll definitely let go our timestamps down below. The only time I'm not going to do timestamps is if there's like a urgent video where we talk about the Bitcoin price only and just a small couple of different parts. In this case here is just our general crypto news video. And I promise you guys, I'm going to do timestamps every single time for that. PayPal plans to launch its debut of the US dollar-backed cryptocurrency. Now, we cannot officially read the article, but I think I got the story down very much so. Because as far as I now know it, they actually confirmed that they're preparing to launch their own stablecoin. And it's not really a speculatory piece anymore like we were talking about earlier. It's just a couple of days ago they confirmed it. And as far as I understand, it's basically like a USDC, USDT, whatever, but then the PayPal version. I'm not sure what the name is going to be, nor exactly what we can fetch in terms of how useful it's going to be. Because obviously, a stablecoin is just one of many, right? It's not going to be decentralized, so it's not like a UST over on Luna. It's not going to be that special. It's just one of many. So the only appeal it has is that this will get so much usage, depending on what it's built on. If was going to be built in a decentralized manner or a centralized manner, it could get so much traction that this is going to change the crypto game completely. It could really change quite a lot. It could really change a lot. Now, once more, guys, I'm not sure how they're going to do this, how they're going to back it or anything like that. But I guess because PayPal is such a huge company already, the backing doesn't seem like a really big issue. And this can actually propel the stablecoin era to a new standard, as we have USDC backed by Circle. And we have a couple other big ones that are, from a certain perspective, really safe. USDC isn't one of those on my list. But then again, PayPal getting into it and really putting their stamp on a stablecoin like that could be a really big deal, as they have such a big audience. All right, moving over into some quote-unquote bearish news, or at least some interesting... Actually, kind of sneak. Oh, very nice. Woo. Woo. There we go. A little sneeze right there for the episode. It's actually funny. I record these videos very often. Right now it's 3 a.m. and I record these videos. I have a problem. You know that? I don't know why I do this. Very often I have good times where I just record a lot of the videos just throughout the day from like 9 a.m. to like 4, and I don't do anything afterwards. Right now it's freaking, what am I doing? But apparently Bitcoin discount. Peter Brandt on why you shouldn't buy the dip. This is so, to me, annoying. I'm like, you can name 1,001 reasons to buy the dip. You can name 1,001 reasons not to buy the dip. But in the way he puts it, it's always such a negative narrative. Why? What is this? What is his goal with all of this? He's just always shouting out that gold is better, Bitcoin is crap. But as I've said 1,000 times as well, he has an incentive. All his content is related to gold. Everything he pushes is related to gold. So obviously, if that's the case, you're going to sugarcoat gold as much as possible, because that's what you make your bread with. And of course, he makes his bread hating on Bitcoin. From that perspective, is this a credible source? Yes, he has a lot of authority, but it's biased. And that's the most important part. He is biased towards Bitcoin doing bad and gold doing good, because that's his entire niche, that's his entire part, and that's his entire personality. So, can you take his advice? Well, look into it, obviously, because again, he is a very successful trader or investor, whatever you want to call it. He's very respected in the realm. You might want to look at what he says, but always take it with a grain of salt, and always look at it from a eagle-eye view of just watching it all first before drawing your own conclusions, and check it out first. That's what I always want to say. Then again, I'm not going to go over his ideas, because I have my own on these dip buyings, which is buy the dip if you're confident that this is going to last for a longer period of time. I think crypto is going to be here forever, so I definitely buy the dip, and I'll keep doing that every single time. Well, you can, of course, say don't buy the dip because it might dip further. But my solution to that is you buy multiple different dips. So it just depends on your own perspective and everything like that. All right, my laptop is almost going to actually fall out. So I want to quickly talk about Chainlink here before we end this little episode, which the only thing I want to share about that is Chainlink is in such a good position, and many people actually forget that Chainlink is such a huge crypto. A couple of key drivers are just they are the integral part of every single DeFi thing out there. Guys, by the way, not sponsored, don't think so. A couple of people have asked me if it's sponsored. Nope. If it's sponsored, you see a sponsored tag somewhere. Right now, nothing is sponsored. Even this Chainlink stuff, no, it's just my own thoughts. Chainlink is being used in almost every single part of the DeFi ecosystem, yet many people are not really getting into it. So I just bought about $5,000 worth more of Chainlink today, because I kind of forgot to buy Chainlink the last big dip, which is, I guess, about, hours ago. So I just decided to actually buy more. If we dip further, guys, I'll just buy more, and every time along we buy more. But this is just what I bought today. I bought a lot of different cryptos today, guys. I actually showed it, I think, over on my Twitter. Over the last 2 days, I've just been hoarding up. I've also been telling a lot of my friends that what coins I'm buying and why I'm buying them and all that stuff. But generally speaking, for you guys, it's just the coins that I usually cover on my channel that I'm buying more of. You know, an Algorand, a Chainlink, an XRP, a VeChain, an ADA, a Solana. Just coins I'm excited about that I think will do well. AVAX, Luna. And I'm also going to recreate a couple of videos over on Patreon about my exact plans in terms of what baskets of coins to buy and how I think of the future and whatnot. But just stay tuned for that. I think it's going to be a really interesting video. I'll also share some stuff over on the YouTubes, of course, as I do want you guys to get every single piece together. But remember, I've shared everything already. It's just about getting all my information that I've shared in comprised little, videos or whatnot. And last but not least, it still is in regards to Chainlink. Des Bryant taps Chainlink for dynamic sports NFTs. Remember, Chainlink is also most likely going to get into a very, very big marketing campaign this year, as they got, of course, Chainlink 2.0, but obviously they've been lacking for a very good while. As I said before, Chainlink is good from the foundational perspective. It's just about them actually getting into the marketing and getting into a little layer of making actual communities and whatnot, but they can really pop off if they go for a better campaign. That's what I said half a year ago or so, and I still stand by that. Guys, that was it for today's crypto news update. Wow, this is a big file. It's going to be an interesting upload here. We'll see. Thank you guys so much for watching, stopping by. I'll see you guys again in another crypto video later today. But again, make sure you subscribe to the channel.